Hello, I'd like to welcome all of you to our 10 at 10 for 10 training and leadership development today for pool funding. And we've got a very special training set up for you today. And I want this to be a bit interactive. And I'm going to start out by asking this question. The question is the ignorance of people being taken advantage of? What's your feeling about that? Is the ignorance of people being taken advantage of in this world? What do you guys think?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Okay.
100%.
We got a resounding, yes, absolutely. Well, let's just test the ignorance of those people that are here. How about that?
That won't be
So
hard.
who would like to talk to me right now? Just say me and I'll talk to you. Who would like to go first?
Me,
Okay, who's that?
Mike Cassie.
All right, Mike Cassie, thanks for volunteering.
I will go out on the ledge.
I appreciate that very much.
I'll help
Okay,
you out.
all right, so let's start off with you got the power. Okay, we're gonna give you power. How about that? Good place to start, right?
I like it.
So Mike's got power. You have the power to double money. No matter how much it is, you can double it in a year, regardless of what you got. How's that sound for power?
Okay.
Good power, right? And let's say that you only start off with $1. Okay. So if we give you $1 to start with and you have the power to double that, what do you have next year?
Next year, probably trillions.
You're gonna $1 doubled is
Well, how often? Let me ask you this.
we're just talking about 1 year. So every year you can double money. Okay. You got the power to double anything. So we're going to start with $1 and we'll start with $1. A year from now, you're going to double that. And that means you have what a year from now?
$2.
You got $2. Dun, dun, dun. Good job. Okay. Now the year after that, what's it going to turn into?
$4.
Cool. Well, go one more year. How about that? If we give you another year, what did you turn that $4 into?
$8.
$8. Now let's say from the $1 and we double it every time for 20 years. In 20 years, what do you have?
Let me get my calculator out.
No cheating. Just
I can't do that in my head. But it would be substantial in 20 years. I mean,
yeah, $1 would turn into what doubled every year? How much would that be?
Well, I know the whole penny scenario in 30 days.
30
so,
days. Yeah.
By the end of 30 days, you'd have, a tremendous amount of money.
Like 5
even
million
at the penny level, So at the dollar level,
dollar level, 20 years.
I can't tell you. I don't know what it is, but it would
all
be.
Right. Okay, let's.
It would be somewhere around $1 million, wouldn't it?
Okay, Hunter.
I think it'd be more.
I think it'd be beyond trillions.
Yeah.
Well, Hunter would be correct. Hunter is correct. It's pretty darn close to $1 million.
Okay.
Wow, amazing power, Michael. Right? Imagine wealth creation happening like that for you personally. Imagine you can double money every year, And if you got $1, it turns into $2. You got $2, it turns into $4. If you got $500,000, it turns into $1 million, right? And so on. So that's an amazing power, right? Now, so in 20 years, $1 can turn into over $1 million, and that is powerful. We can all agree on that. If you guys agree with me that that's powerful, just say, I agree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I agree.
Okay. Pretty exciting too, right? That's exciting as well, right?
Very exciting.
Yes.
Okay. Now for the fun part. Okay. What if we enter in taxation? Okay. How's that going to impact the wealth? Okay. let's take the exact same situation. And let's say that you happen to be, regardless of, what you're working with, $1, $2, $4, $500,000, regardless of what that is, you're going to pay a 33% income tax on the growth of your money that year. And that'll be the case for 20 years. What do you think you're left over with in 20 years? Mike, I'll give you the first shot at taking your best stab at 20 years. You're going to pay a 33% tax on your on the growth every year. And you got to pay that first, and then what's left over, you can then take that and double it. Okay. What do you have after 20 years?
I think that would be a lot less than $1 million. Obviously, it
Less
would
than
be
$1 million.
closer to, probably less than 500,000 and in reality also.
Okay. All right. So
250,000.
Okay. So your best guess is 250. All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to take a guess?
I have a good guess.
What is the guess?
But I have a pre-knowledge of this. It's
Uh,
zero.
You're saying zero. Okay, so we got zero. We got 250,000. What else? Who else? Who
I
else?
think
wants to chime
somewhere around 25K, I think.
in? Around 25,000.
Yeah.
Are you in front of a spreadsheet or something?
I can do it now. I was good at math when I was growing up.
Okay. Well, let me share my screen and let's take a look at the math. Okay.
Great.
Take a look at the hardcore math. Something that people don't do because that they fall into ignorance, right? So here we are. We start with that $1 of capital. So over here in this column here, we're seeing the power of doubling money turns into $1,048,576 in just 20 years. Okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But now we put in the 33% tax rate and on the growth of any kind of we'll call it income. Okay. And so let's see what happens. Okay, so we start out with $1. Okay, so here we have $1, and then $1 begets $1, right? We have that second dollar come in, so we've gained $1, but we're gonna pay a 33% tax on that additional $1, right? So
Correct.
we got to subtract that out of the dollar gained, right? And that's going to leave us with 67 cents of that second dollar. And we don't have $2 to work with in our first year. We have $1.67. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Now the next thing happens is we start out with $1.67 and we double that. And then the double on that, it's $1.67. So we take 33% of $1.67 and 33% works out to be 55 cents. So 55 cents from $1.67 leaves us with a $1.12. Okay. So we add the $1.12 to the original 167 here. Okay. We add those together and we end up with $2.79. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
all of this is the same. Okay. All of this is the same. See how it just adds those two together? Okay. All the way down the line. Okay. Right down here. And so what happens after 20 years, what we're left over with is $28,466.20 instead of $1,000,048,576. Okay. Do you think people are aware of this impact on wealth creation?
No.
Nope.
Are they even aware of the impact of taxation on wealth creation and how devastating it is to wealth creation? Do you think the system takes full advantage of people's ignorance?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So from time to time, the question comes up, is the funding coming out of pool funding taxable? Okay. Well, it's a very complicated world out there. Can we agree on that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so what I have to say in answer to that question, well, that's a taxation question, and you need to take that to a tax professional. That's what I have to say, right?
It's a good thing to say.
That would be my comment also. Yes.
Right. And so, but regardless of what the tax professional might say, does that mean I have to like the answer?
No.
No.
Yeah.
You know, what if the tax professional says, oh, surely you must pay taxes on it? You can pretty much count on me saying, well, I don't like that answer, but you know, am I going to be the one to advise you not to pay taxes? Well, no, that would be right on my part to do that, right?
Right.
But each of us are individuals, and each of us are faced with choices, and each of us are faced with, you know, an understanding of what we're working with and, you know, the world that we live within. And we're all responsible for every decision we make. Yes?
Correct.
Yes.
So if we
Right.
bring things down to the point of personal responsibility, it's not my responsibility what you guys do when it comes to paying taxes or not paying taxes. That's really your responsibility. Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Correct.
And so I'm not liable for your decisions, correct?
Correct.
That's
Okay,
correct.
because that's how it really works. Okay, but I will tell you this: the way that pool funding exists at this very moment in time is strictly code on the internet, because we're not centralized. You're not sending money to me. You're not sending money to my company. You're not sending money directly to me to go into my pocket first and then me to redistribute that. No, when it comes to the USDT that the system is using, that money is, you know, first of all, I didn't invent or create USDT. Yes.
Right.
Correct.
That's right.
That's
Okay.
right.
And pool funding runs on USDT. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And the USDT is what's more spendable to you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
Yes.
when the USDT comes into your wallet in MetaMask, then that is something that's pretty easy to convert to paper money if you so choose. And from there, right, Steve, we saw you actually do this. You
Right.
converted some of that USDT into paper money, and I
Yes.
think you paid a bill or something with that, right?
Yes.
And that's documented on a video that we did earlier. Okay, so yes, that USDT is what the system is running on, but our software works like a switch. Okay, it's either here or it's here. What's happening is that when someone goes to engage our website and click the pay now button, when they click on that, it's not pay me. It doesn't come to me, right? What happens
Right.
instead, because it's decentralized, it's gonna ask the question, okay, the person clicking that button, who are they? And who is the sponsor of that person? Okay, that's what the software determines immediately. Okay, and then after it determines that, then it asks the question, is that particular sponsor qualified under the system or not? And if the sponsor is qualified, when you click that button, the money comes out of your wallet and goes right into your sponsor's wallet. No in between, no middleman, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
That's how it works. On the other hand, if for some reason the sponsor is not qualified, then the next person waiting in line on the pool, they get paid off, correct? Because everybody in the
That's right.
pool, the idea is that we'll get paid off at some point. That's the idea behind the pools. That it's a rotation, and ultimately it leads up to a nexus point, and at that nexus point, everybody gets paid off, and everything just smooth selling after that. Okay,
Right.
so but we have to grow into that. Okay, we have to grow up to that point where we hit that particular nexus point, and the nexus point is kind of a combination of a certain price target that we have inside our PFP coin and how much we can sell it down for. And then how many people are contributing monthly into paying a monthly access fee to have access to our pool, right? And
Right.
and the cream on
Yes.
top of that would be any purchases coming in the form of assurance payments. We could also add products and services on top of that later on down the road, but for now, the two utilities of our PFB coin are, you know, a monthly access fee. In this case, on a $10 pool, we're talking about $10 a month, no big deal, and then $15 for every unit of assurance that one might purchase to protect himself against missing a payment on time. You know what I'm saying? And
Correct.
so that protects them from incurring a larger cost of having to get requalified. Okay. So those are the utilities of our coin. No different than a game coin, which maybe they have their game gold inside the game, and you'd have to purchase the game gold in order to play the game. Does that make sense? That'd be the utility for the currency used inside the game, right?
Makes
So
sense.
the idea of creating what some people refer to as a token, on in the cryptocurrency arena, is for some sort of a utility. And so our utility is defined as access to our system, which is nothing more than a software switch like that. Okay. And also assurance, which protects against user default. Okay, protects them against themselves being not on time, because everything's on a cycle, built on a 24-hour cycle. You got a 20-hour timer, you got a 4-hour timer, and when both are elapsed, then you can go into default and have to start over in your requalification if you didn't have the assurance in place. So those are the utilities of our PFP coin. Okay. It's out there also on the market, where anybody who sees that our utility is a powerful utility, and they could speculate on that if they want to. You know what I'm saying? So then you have that, because it's out there in the open market. All right. But we do have we have a very tight control over circulating coin.
Okay, see you.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, okay. We have very tight control over circulating supply, and we also try to encourage as much positive buying pressure against our coin as possible in one form or another. But eventually, just imagine if we had 1 million people purchasing $10 worth of PFB every single month as a member of our pool funding group, right? Because we have 1 million members, and they each pay $10 a month in access. That'd be $10 million coming in every single month. But imagine if our pool was only like 1,000, you know what I'm saying? Then we could easily keep that where the rotation of the pool is down to 20 hours forever. We keep it there forever, And then everybody, you can rely on the fact that it's paying very quickly. Okay. Now, so when it comes to the money coming into your hands, that we call it funding. We like to use the word funding way more than we want to use the word income, because when you use the word income, is there a tax consequence for using the word income?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's basically guaranteed, got to pay taxes on it, right?
Right.
But when it comes to the word funding, it puts a question mark there, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at
No.
another example of this. Let me share my screen. I will go ahead and upload this, by the way. I think this is powerful. What did I call it? All right, I called it Taxation Wealth Killer. Let's see if I can put that into the group. Full funding. File. Use this one here and send that over. Okay, obviously I was having a discussion about this with Anoop at one time to help clarify some things. And that's where that came up. And he loved it, by the way. All right, now let's go into another project here. There's a project out there called GoFundMe. Have you guys ever heard of GoFundMe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then here's a question that comes up when it comes to GoFundMe. Are GoFundMe donations taxable? Tax tips for crowdfunding, okay? And it basically comes back, well, it depends. And then there's this whole article on what it depends on, okay? So let me give you guys access to this article as like an example of what's already out there, okay? And put this into our pool funding group. You guys should read this article. I think you'll benefit from it. All right. Now, I can tell you this, that just because something is taxable, let's say for example that you have to understand we're gonna go through a progression here. Right now, full funding is simply code. You're accessing a switch, okay? But we're gonna be putting a wrapper on this soon enough, and the wrapper is going to come in the form of an offshore, meaning outside the USA, okay, an offshore entity, okay, so
Okay.
that it has some jurisdiction that protects it from unnecessary threats, if you know what I'm talking about. And then on top of that, we'll also work together with a team of whatever you want to call them, attorneys or whatever, to see whatever we can do to, shore up the idea that pool funding is a legitimate way to, access funding that is not taxable. Okay. But regardless of whatever happens there, when it happens, okay, the question might still come up, be like, it might hit a particular area where it's just, in order to really define it, that someone, a tax advisor or whatever, might say, well, technically, if you really want to protect this, then you have to have this in place, or you have to have that in place, and then from there, whatever goes in is sheltered. In other words, having a tax shelter. You guys have heard of the idea of a tax shelter, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what if there was a cost to set up a tax shelter? This is whatever, $5,000. Okay. Let's say it costs $5,000 to set up a proper tax shelter at the individual level. Okay. And if you used $5,000 out of pool funding to pay for that tax shelter, well, then you would pay taxes on that $5,000 in the worst case scenario. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Yes.
But then thereafter, after your individualized tax shelter that each of you would create on your own, okay, with some guidance and tips coming from us, here's some resources, some ways to go, what I'm saying. Then you guys as individuals could go out there, and as you feel necessary or feel like you want to protect wealth creation on your end of the deal. Because after all, look at what happened there. $1 million turned into $28,000 in 20 years. That's terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Wealth creation. Okay. So without any kind of a tax shelter, right? So, but if you have a tax shelter, then anything coming in, we basically the tax shelter would be the technically the owner of the accounts that you're using in pool funding. Okay.
Yes.
And then from there, all of that's protected according to, however the tax shelter is regulated. That makes sense?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what do you think
Yes.
the rich people do? Do they use tax shelters?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what I'm telling you here, guys, is that it doesn't really matter so much what we end up doing, what I end up doing, and how I ultimately set this up. At the end of the day, each individual will have their own power to do something here. Okay. Because there's always that way out, that they've always given the rich guy the way out. I mean, Donald Trump is a good example. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wasn't
Or
so,
Elon Musk.
yeah, I mean, he wasn't so ready to share his tax return, when he was just asked for it, right? So, because people don't understand, rich people do what rich people do, and maybe they won't
Right.
understand, right? Doesn't make him
Right.
a bad guy, doesn't make him a good guy, but it's just what it is, right? So, understand that ignorance is the problem here, okay? Not knowing is the problem here, right? And if we can help
Right.
our community get into a space of knowing, then at least you can play by the rules where you come out the winner. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes
Right.
sense.
And ultimately, what we end up doing here in pool funding together, each of you have power to protect yourselves as you feel the need to do so. Okay. So therefore, what we're presenting is an opportunity, not an obligation, but an opportunity. And that's what pool funding is all about. We're not here to obligate anybody to do anything. We simply put an opportunity out there, and here's how our thing works. Yeah, you've got to deal with timer creep. That's part of our opportunity. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with bringing a couple of people on board in order for you to come out ahead, because if it depends solely on soul accounts, you're guaranteed almost like a negative return on this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So why would you want to only have sub accounts? So you definitely want to protect the pool by getting your sub accounts qualified in the shortest period of time possible, which protects everyone. Yes. Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
everybody should get two for
Yes.
each of the sub accounts. If they have sub accounts, that should be where the first 4 people go. 2 under sub count 1, 2 under sub count 2. Then those sub counts are out of the pool now. They're qualified sponsors essentially, but you control them, right? And then the 4 real people that are there, they're the ones that are, basically, making a payment to you. But remember, these are people that you personally invited to come and be a part of this. Okay. So these aren't necessarily random people. So if you look at ultimately where the wealth is coming from, the wealth is coming from the hands of people you already know into your hands. That's the way pool funding is structured. So really what you build here is what you get here. If you don't build nothing, you get nothing. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you expect anything different? Right? You can't,
Right.
we're not really offering a something for nothing opportunity here. This is, we want you to contribute 2 referrals minimum. That's what we want. Okay. And we're very upfront about that. And I want us to be even more upfront about that. And I want us to be even more, make it clear. We're providing a structure that you can build something and that you should take care to build it. That if you don't build something, that was on you, not on us. Fair enough?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Well, let's just take a moment or two now to get feedback from you. What did you guys think of today's training?
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Very
Great.
good.
Great.
Loved
Okay.
it.
Very knowledgeable.
All right.
Best one yet.
Best one. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Well, I'm in your corner, guys. I want each of you to experience wealth creation at its finest. Okay. And I want you to have the funding so you can expand into the world that you want to be a part of. And ultimately realize that you're the one creating your world. Okay. And as we kind of move through time here, tomorrow is a very special date as far as I'm concerned. We have some very special events happening tomorrow. I put a video up on our pool funding group about tomorrow, and we'll probably look back on tomorrow over time as like a significant time for humanity. And I hope all of you are ready to enter a space that's just nothing but love, because I think ultimately the real currency that we want to deal in ultimately is love. That's going to be heaven on earth. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the
Sounds great.
recording now.